I really like this Adirondack chair. Yes. And today, it comes with a radio. I remember as a little boy, 6 to 8 years old, my dad was on the radio, and it was a little bit bigger, and it was a shortwave radio. And he tried to get the voice of Europe, the voice of America, because that's where the news came from, that were not distorted or not aligning to propaganda, where we used to live in Transylvania and Romania. And in that sounding, there was so much noise and chirping, static. It was like this, all the different voices and noises, and depends on how the weather was, you could hear more clearly, or you just had a hard time hearing that radio. And I think sometimes that's how I could almost describe my life when I go through the week or occasion and think like, there is so much going on, so many distractions, so much on my list, to-do lists and I miss calming down and focusing and paying attention and being very centered and focused and grounded in God. So much static, so much going on. And that can be on the phone, that can be on the TV, that can be all the things that come our way where we may think, yes, that needs my attention, yes, that needs my attention, and so on. And in all of that, I feel sometimes, where is that still small voice that may get crowded out? There is another world, and it is in this world, God's Spirit is all in this world. And it takes us to pay attention and focus and quiet down and be receptive to actually pick up those vibes, pick up that message, and be open to it. And in the distractions and in all that's going on, I think sometimes we miss doing that. A couple of months ago, we had Peterson Toscano come and present at Hot Topics. And Peterson Toscano is a Quaker, a practicing Quaker. And you know, Quaker worship, Quaker weddings, Quaker funerals happen very differently than we practice or express our faith in worship. Most of it is based on silence, just quieting down, calming down, and being present and seeing what comes up. And what are the voices we discern? So if my to-do list comes up, or if my shopping list comes up, or so on, I take a look at it and notice and say like, okay, you can wait a little bit. What else is coming up? So it's almost like tuning or attuning the heart to a greater message, to that other world that is in our world, to that other energy, that Spirit of God that is present with us. That's one way how to tune in and how to connect more deeply to the Spirit that is among us, or as in the Acts, as it says, God's Spirit in whom we live and move and have our being. We have our being. It's all interconnected. Heaven, in that understanding, is not that place far away where we'll move after we die, but heaven is right here and right now, present in our reality. And we experience some of that when we connect with heart, mind, and soul, and with our bodies, when we're open, paying attention. And you have had these wow moments. You have this, wow, I didn't know that was possible. There are these almost like portals or entryways where we feel like some of God's world and presence is revealed to us in that situation. Another way how to connect or be open to that energy, to that Spirit of God, the presence of God, is Tizay music, or music overall. Last weekend, we were with our confirmation group at St. John the Divine, this huge, massive, awesome cathedral in New York City, and had a program, Night Watch. And Sister Hannah, just a beautiful person, beautiful soul, and she played the keyboard, and there was a gentleness around her, and a shining and a glow about her. And in her playing Tizay music, it's like a chant. You tune in, Jesus, remember me, or it's usually based on one verse of the Bible, and you tune in and you go into it, and you can hum it then, and it becomes part of your breathing and part of yourself, and it felt like, I can let go and rest in that, and be present in that. Music can do that. How often I go home from choir practice, and the next morning I wake up with a tune. Or it's kind of this, it's touching us deeper and connecting with that deeper level. That's what it is about, to be still and know that I'm God. That Psalm 46, the invitation that though the earth may tumble, there may be storms going on, there may be wars and struggle and fighting and all of that, but it does not need to keep us from being centered and grounded in God. Last Tuesday, we had our ministerium, Selinsgrove Ministerium, and that's where the clergy of our mainline denominations will get together once a month and discuss. And I put out that question, what keeps you grounded? Well, one person said, I read scripture and I memorize scripture. And he's a jogger, he's a runner. So he reads, he memorizes, and then while he's running, it's going deeper, it's becoming part of him. Two other persons said, like, I play music. One of them is more of a musically inclined person. In the morning, instead of reading a devotional, playing music and tuning in and aligning with the Spirit of God, just to tune in. And another colleague said, singing Verdi's Requiem. She's singing with the Susquehanna Valley Chorale. Just singing that, there's a beauty of connecting, the beauty of heaven opening for her and finding that deeply grounding. And for me, music and scripture play a role. In addition to that, I love going by the river, walking to the end, or when the weather gets better, I'm doing a little bit of running. And I look around and I wonder, there's always something to discover. What I'm really wondering, all those ducks, how do they not get cold feet in the water? Especially when the river is frozen shut and there's this one small plot and they get, how the heck is that happening? And it's kind of, okay. Actually, St. Francis, it goes back, he says, we do not have only one book of God, the Bible, we have two books of God. And he says, we have the Bible and we have creation or nature. And that's how we can discover the beauty of God as well, being outside, being there. And didn't Jesus use so many of his parables, so many analogies from being out there? Look at the lilies, look at the birds. Think of the ones who are planting. It's right there, present with us, the messages, if we pay attention. Blaise Pascal, in the 1600s, He was a very deep thinker, theologian, mathematician, philosopher, so one of these Renaissance people who was very bright but also very deep. He said, many of our problems as society and as individuals stem from the inability of us to be quiet, silent by ourselves in a room. So, to be quiet, centered, in solitude, and connect with God in the depths of our hearts. This itching, this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, keeps us from the deeper center, from the deeper grounding. That's what he says. So how do we do that? How do we get to that place of deeper connection? Our scripture today, Mary and Martha, is very clear. So all the distractions, all the worries, all the things that I feel like need to be done, need to be prepared, can keep me from focusing and centering and being present and connecting with the Spirit of God. Now, it does not mean never do anything whatsoever. It doesn't mean that. For me, it really means, is it a good balance? Is it a good balance? Like the old tradition of ora and labora, pray and work, the Benedictine wisdom of it's all to be interconnected, where work can become like a prayer when we know what we're working for and the purpose and the meaning of what we're doing, and where prayer becomes the centering and the focusing of our whole work and of our whole purpose. So when Martha is in the kitchen and trying to get it all ready and getting it all together, Jesus pretty much tells her, Martha, take a break. Give yourself a break. And I think that's a good message for us all to get, isn't it? Martha, take a break. Susan, take a break. Malcolm, take a break. Liz, give yourself a break. Because often we're so hard on ourselves, aren't we? We try to live up to other people's standards for our lives, to give yourself a break. That's the peace that Jesus wants Martha to experience, that peace of, just like Lori, I love it. Lori in a previous congregation in Virginia, she had this sign at her front door and it said like, I cleaned last week, sorry you missed it. And you can add that, I cleaned 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago and it's gonna be okay. Jesus, our scriptures say, Jesus withdrew to a solitary place to connect with God repeatedly. If Jesus needed that, don't we all? Don't we all need that deep connection, that breathing, that presence? I can hear my dad still trying to tune in. What will you let go? Where and how will you find that quiet center to tune in and pay attention to God's voice in you? How will you do that?